Welcome to a snow-covered South Bend, Indiana. Steady winds, cold temperatures, a perfect environment for football. The Irish return home for Senior Day on a 4-game win streak. It's a veteran team, so 25 student athletes will be honored today. While some players may still have eligibility remaining, Coach Freeman wanted every player that could be playing in their last game to participate and soak in this moment. All the underclassmen hit the field first to watch their teammates run through the tunnel one final time as a very familiar opponent awaits in Boston College. More on that matchup shortly with Jason Garrett and Zora Stevenson, but right now we are joined by football alumni from both schools who know all about playing in a game just like this. From Boston College, two-time All-American tight end and Pete Mitchell, and for the Irish, former wide receiver and student body president Corey Robinson. Catherine Tappan leads our pregame from the field. All you, Tap.
All right, Jack, thanks so much. It is such a celebratory day here in South Bend. The seniors who are in this student body, the seniors who will run onto this football field, so many memories will be created today. And Corey, you missed out on your senior day and your senior run out. Tell me why.
I was actually applying for the Rhodes Scholarship, so I was in Texas following this on my phone. But this is a special moment because as a young person, you look up to the seniors. You want to be like them, and eventually that's going to be you one day. And it's just a really special thing to celebrate them and hopefully get a win for them.
And Pete, what do you remember from your senior day at Boston College?
It was a great day. We played Syracuse at home. My family was there. Parents were obviously there. So it was a really emotional day. I was not applying for the Rhodes Scholar that day.
That's right. Well, Corey is an outstanding student athlete here at Notre Dame, but I want to get your memories from 1993 because this is the first time you're back in this stadium when Boston College upset Notre Dame, the #1 ranked team. What do you remember from that day here?
Wow, it was a great day for us at Boston College. Obviously, growing up in Detroit, had a lot of family and friends here, and to upset them in their own stadium was pretty special.
When you look at this afternoon and certainly the rivalry that has been created over the years between Boston College and Notre Dame, what did it mean to you, Corey, to play in that game at Fenway Park, the last game you played in against Boston College?
I mean, are you kidding me? This is such a special game for me because any rivalry for Notre Dame is a big game. But to be able to go back in my mind and think, wow, the last time I played BC was at Fenway? That's just crazy. So it's a special game for me.
And Pete, there's Winnebagos out in that parking lot tailgating from students that came all the way from Boston to be here in South Bend for this game. What does the rivalry mean for Boston College students here?
Well, when the schedule comes out and we're playing at Notre Dame, I know the students are excited to get out and get in the Winnebagos and get over here. So it's a great rivalry. You know, I played them 3 times in my 4 years and ended up 2-1. So I was very excited about that. But it's the 2 Catholic universities playing each other.
Well, I know there's a lot of fans back home in Boston watching this game closely, and the celebration is continuing here at Notre Dame Stadium. It is cold, it's snowy, it's picture perfect for Senior Day. As we celebrate these student athletes, we're going to send you back to Jack, Jason, and Zora after the break.
Boston College and Notre Dame on Senior Day in South Bend, and just moments ago, you have 4 captains, one final time out of the tunnel. Isaiah Foskey, one of the best pass rushers in the history of Notre Dame football, and he can break Justin Tuck's sack record today with just 1 sack.
You hear me?
And there's Bo Bauer, the special teams leader, Mr. Reliable for the entirety of his career. And unfortunately, he was lost for the season with a knee injury, but his voice still carries so much weight inside that Irish locker room. There's Avery Davis, a key to that wide receiver room entering the season, a veteran. Everybody listens when he speaks. Had the ACL injury earlier, and of course Jarrett Patterson, a star on the interior of that offensive line. He has the longest streak in the country of pass blocking snaps without allowing a sack, and it's not even close. An amazing scene here in South Bend as Notre Dame has put a little run together, winning 7 of their last 8 games, including the win over Clemson out here on this field. So what's top of mind today if you are Marcus Freeman?
Jack, Notre Dame has had some special moments and some huge wins this year. But if you're Marcus Freeman, this is the kind of game that keeps you up at night. BC is 3-7 and they're banged up, and Notre Dame has had a tendency to play to the level of their opponent all year long. Last week against Navy, they were dominant in the first half. They didn't handle the success well, and they struggled to get out of there with a win. Look for Boston College to copy Navy's defensive game plan today and blitz all day long. The Irish have to prove that they can handle and gash the heat because it's coming.
You mentioned Boston College, the tough year that they have had, but they're coming off their best game in that win over NC State. So how can they pull off one more upset out here today?
First off, their defense has to show up like it did last week against NC State. They took the ball away 4 times and made some big stops late in the game. On offense, the key to their success hinges on their freshman quarterback, Emmett Morehead. He's played awfully well in his first 2 starts, and he led the game-winning drive last week against NC State in a tough environment. He'll be under duress again today. Look for him to target BC's best player, wide receiver Zay Flowers, early and often, trying to make his life a little bit easier.
Hey, let's head down to the sideline where Zora Stevenson is standing by with Marcus Freeman.
Coach, 25 seniors recognized on the field today. How have they impacted not just this program, but also you as a head coach?
Well, I mean, they've led us, and they've been the best group of leaders you could wish for. And I know this season hasn't gone the way they thought on the front end, but they've made a beautiful picture out of what's going on this season. And I'm so proud to be their coach, and they've really laid the foundation for what this program has ahead of us.
You all have thrived against ranked opponents, but you've lost 2 to unranked teams. Boston College coming off a huge win. How do you ensure your guys play up to the standard of Notre Dame football for a full game?
Well, we got to continue to remind them what our standard is, right? This is our standard. This is what it takes to make sure that we play to our standard. It's a great football team we're going against. So just beat a top 20 team in the country in NC State last week. So our guys understand the challenge, but understand the privilege it is to play at this stadium for this group of seniors. So we're ready to go.
You all will play today in temperatures that are in the 20s, but feel a lot lower than that. What have you emphasized to the guys heading into the first really cold game of the season?
No cold, tough guys. Dress warm. I don't want to see guys shivering on the sidelines. Dress warm, dress appropriately. We've been out here, we practice in this weather, so you're going to know what it takes. But let's go play. Let's not be distracted by the temperature.
Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you.
Zora, Coach, thank you. No cold, tough guys. No cold, tough guys. I love that line. So there's the weather today. It's had some snow flurries coming in. We'll see how that goes throughout the course of the afternoon, but it is icy as BC wins the toss. They defer, and here comes Drew Pine onto the field. 7-1 record as a starter. He threw 4 touchdowns and ran for another touchdown in that first half against Navy last week, but struggled under pressure in the second half, and Notre Dame stalled offensively. And remember, he played his best games against BYU and UNC, and of course the signature win on this field, last time on this field against Clemson.
Important for Notre Dame to get off to a good start here. After that second half in Navy, look for a good mix of run and pass early on in this game.
Logan Diggs starts as the running back. Give does go to Diggs, and a huge hole is opened up straight up the middle. Diggs with a stiff arm and well into BC territory inside the 25-yard line before DeBerry finally drags him to the ground.
That's the kind of start the Irish were looking for. It's pretty simple. Here we go. One more time. It's a play they've seen all year long. The guys in the blue shirts controlling the line of scrimmage. It's a downhill run. Notre Dame does it better than anybody in the country, and an unbelievable start for the Irish on this cold South Bend Saturday afternoon.
A gain of 51 on the very first play. They flip it ahead. It's Michael Mayer who's trying to gain the edge and does. So just trying to get 87 the football. That's an easy way to do it. Here's the players to watch today. Jason Garrett, how do you see it?
Let's start with that guy right there. They get on the ball a ton of different ways. Running a fly sweep. Michael Mayer's as good as it gets. Jared Patterson, the senior left guard, All-American center last year, made the transition. He's the cornerstone up front for BC. Marcus Valdez, they call him the RoboCop, playing through some injury, as is Josh DeBerry on the back end. 2 outstanding players for the Eagles.
Players to watch, presented by Under Armour. There is Salerno in motion. Give goes to Logan Diggs, and he will pick up 4 straight up the middle.
This is what Notre Dame wants to do when they've played their best football. They've been able to run the ball, and then the success they've had in the passing game comes off of that. Last week against Navy, a lot of blitzes early stifled their run game, and they made some plays in the passing game. This is the kind of football they want to play. Drew Pine plays much better, like most quarterbacks, in a complementary role.
Pine on the roll, had a wide receiver, Matt Salerno, and sailed it straight past him.
There it is. Pressure, pressure, and more pressure. That's what Navy did last week, and it got home all throughout the second half. You see the edge players here for Boston College coming off the edge. It gives you a free opportunity. A little pressure in Drew Pine's face. He missed the throw. He's capable of making it. Now they find themselves in a 3rd and 6.
So they'll empty things out for Drew Pine here before motioning Logan Diggs into the backfield. Pine, clean drop and fires, and that is looking for Lorenzo Styles, but it's a low pass that really never had a chance from Drew Pine.
Hey, pressure one more time, and man-to-man coverage on the back end. Here it comes off of this side. It's got Styles on a corner route, and a good look at how this weather might impact the ability to throw the football today. Hard for Drew Pine to drive the ball into the corner in the end zone like he did there. Good job by BC's defense stepping up and holding the Irish to a field goal.
So here comes Blake Grupe. He's 10 for 15. Strong start to the year and trying to get himself back on track. Straight through the middle goes Grupe. So it's Logan Diggs on the first play that sets up the Irish for 3. How about these shots? Snow-covered South Bend. Look into the grotto there as snow hangs from all of those trees. It is a beautiful sight. How about flying in here, too, seeing this place from above? There's nothing quite like it when the snow's falling.
Jack, those pictures were incredible. Chuck Danmeyer, our director down there, lighting them up for us. Gotta send me a couple of those selfies, Chucky.
Yeah. And already seeing the wind factor. You know, there was wind to deal with against Clemson in the last home game as well. Similar winds, about 18, 19 miles per hour. But it gets gusty at moments as well. And that Logan Diggs 51-yard rush to open up the game, the longest run of the season for Notre Dame, results in 3 points. Here's Zach Yoakum, send it deep, and it's Jalen Gill who steps underneath it with space in front. Takes it across the 30, and here goes Gill across the 40, across the 45-yard line before he's finally brought down by Tariq Bracy out there playing special teams. That'll set up BC nicely on offense.
Jack, we saw the impact of the weather on the throw by Palm. We also saw it on the kickoff. He couldn't get depth on it. A wall was set up. Gill found it on the left-hand side. Looks like we have a holding penalty on BC, which is a huge penalty. It's much more than just one of these, hey, it's a 10-yard penalty. It's a 30 or 40-yard penalty after a return like that. Killing the Eagles. Take a look at it on the top of the screen. I don't think there's any doubt when that blue cloth stretches and you have your hands outside, they're going to call it every time. But it's a killer penalty. It literally is a 30 or 40-yard penalty when you have a return like that. BC starts again in the shadow of their own goalpost.
So here's Emmett Morehead, 3rd career start in college football, and he wants to go deep early. And this pass is broken up. You had Benjamin Morrison back there in coverage as he's trying to find Griffin, his wide receiver. So for Morehead, 3rd career start, just mentioned. Before that, his last start was his junior year of high school, and he took over for Phil Jerkovic, of course, the Notre Dame transfer, week 9 when he was injured. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks as a starter, so he's been playing pretty well. Tall guy back there, He can move a little bit. Mobility really not his game. But every once in a while he takes off and he can open your eyes. Garwo, the running back, beside him. And this pass is low, looking for Zay Flowers, and 0 for 2 to begin inside Notre Dame Stadium.
And again, I think we're seeing the effects of this 25-degree temperature and this swirling wind here at Notre Dame. It's going to be hard to throw the football today. Important for these quarterbacks to spin it. If you can spin the ball out of your hand, it's going to cut the weather that much better. Both guys have arm enough to do it. They just got to be consistent. That ball coming out of their hand. They find themselves in a 3rd and 10. Looks like Notre Dame's going to play some man-to-man coverage.
Irish bring the heat, and BC trying to pick it up. They do, and now this pass is intercepted. It's Benjamin Morrison. A couple interceptions to his name against Clemson. Of course, the pick 6. Now he returns home against Boston College, and he steals away another one. It was Xavier Watts forcing the pressure for Notre Dame defensively.
Hey, we talked about BC's defense blitzing Notre Dame. It's been the same case for Boston College's offense. They've struggled handling the pressure. The freshman quarterback felt pressure on his left-hand side. Ill-advised, throwing the ball late outside. And you said it, Benjamin Morrison has been a playmaker. The freshman, look at the change of direction. When he wants to drive on the ball, he goes from point A to point B quickly, and he's one of those DBs that makes you pay because he can catch the ball. Notre Dame's knocking on the door.
Irish take over at the 20. Here goes Logan Diggs, and he battles forward for a gain of 5 on a 1st down carry.
And this is what Notre Dame needs to do. This is when Notre Dame plays their best football. Tommy Rees has done an outstanding job being patient with the run game throughout the year. He can't get bored today. Keep hammering these guys north and south. They're stronger and bigger up front. They're a more physical football team. Wear them out, particularly when it's the tough weather conditions that we're all dealing with today.
Pine hands it off. Here goes Logan Diggs. Another nice hole opened up, and he takes it down to the 6-yard line.
Jack, Notre Dame does such a good job mixing up these north and south runs. Okay, it just right off the right-hand side. Splash a little water by bringing Salerno, the receiver, back across the formation. It captures the linebacker's eyes, but the story's told by the blue shirts knocking the white shirts off the ball. They've done it awfully well so far in this ball game.
Couple tight ends in the game for Notre Dame. Pine hands it off. Here goes Diggs, and Diggs takes it inside the 5 and down to about the 2-yard line.
Jack, you say, hey, that's a 3-yard gain. But a 3-yard gain from the 5 to the 2 in the red zone, those are tough yards down there. And again, this is when they're best. Go fast, hammer them north and south.
Irish straight up and on the ball. Here goes Logan Diggs trying to push that pile forward and pushes it to the 1. 3rd and goal.
The issue is the BC knows what this is when Notre Dame's their best as well. So when they go quickly, they pile the line of scrimmage, do a good job playing underneath the Notre Dame offensive line and creating a little bit of a stalemate. 3rd and 1, no doubt it's 4-down territory for Marcus Freeman here.
3 tight ends into the game. Pine hands it off one more time. It's stuffed initially as Logan Diggs and then fights his way in for the touchdown.
Jack, you described it perfectly. BC stifles them early because they're underneath. They win the leverage battle at the line of scrimmage. The Gold Hats are pushing forward, but Diggs does not stop. He keeps the legs moving. Look at Drew Pine at the end of it. Michael Mayer pushing him across. We look at it right down the line. The question will be, was the knee down before the ball crossed? Was the butt down before the ball crossed?
That play is under further review.
If we look at it from down the line one more time, that's probably our best look at it. And when does that left cheek come down? It's down. It's awfully close.
There is.
I think that's hard to overturn, Terry McCauley. What do you think?
Jason, it looks short to me. When that body part hits, the ball just is. We see the forearm breaking the plane. I don't see the ball breaking the plane.
What's the language you use?
It's got to be indisputable.
Indisputable, clear and decisive? Huh.
I'm seeing it indisputably short on my screen. Let's put it that way. I've got it frozen, so let's see what our guys can do with it.
I do think if it's short, it'll be inches, and Marcus Freeman will go for it, but your point's well made.
Right there.
That's it. That's the shot.
What do you think? About an inch short there, Terry?
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2
Let's
inches?
go 2.
Okay. I buy it.
The second effort was outstanding. Diggs keeps it alive. Loved how Pine got involved. Mayer got involved, trying to drive him into the end zone. And again, I think it's 4-down territory before the third down play.
On the field stand. Touchdown.
All right, Jason Garrett.
Go ahead, Terry McCauley.
Some of that.
I don't agree. Let's put it that way.
Terry, he finally got you. You've been on a run all year.
I know.
Hey, he owed you one.
He earned one.
He sure did. He earned one.
The definition of indisputable is what replay is all about. Terry, what do you think?
So here comes Blake Grupe on for the extra point to give Notre Dame a 10-0 lead before the 10-minute mark in this first quarter. And aerial coverage is presented by Geico. Snow-covered Notre Dame campus in the Golden Dome. Looking good on a Saturday afternoon. So too are the Irish. They lead 10-0 over Boston College.
Jack, it's so much fun to come here in the fall when the leaves are turning, and then come in the winter when the snow falls. Beautiful shots all day long. Fun to be here.
So Zach Yoakum send it deep, and there was a big return by Jalen Gill that was knocked out by the penalty in this. Another penalty as it scoots out about a half yard before going into the end zone.
Kicking team. Ball be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Really good poise by Jalen Gill at the end of that thing. It's an oblong football, and it bounces a lot of different ways. He took the chance. Ball bounced in BC's favor, going out of bounds. Gives them awfully good field position at the 35.
So here is Emmett Morehead. We told you some about him. So he's a California kid. He goes to high school, though, in Alexandria, Virginia. 3-star recruit. Didn't even get to play his senior year, as that was 2020. Athletic parents he has, though. Dad known for football and crew. His mom, she's 6'1", basketball player. And those are the numbers in those first couple of starts. Here goes the run game, and it's Alex Broom moving straight ahead.
His parents, Dan and Devin, were classmates of mine in college. Both really, really good athletes, and I believe in a gene pool. He's got it. He's a big athletic guy who can really throw it. And despite the start he's had today, he's played awfully well and has matured beyond his years. It'll be important for Boston College to run the ball and take some of the burden off of them as this game goes on. It has not been their strong suit all year.
Now Morehead, and that is batted up into the air, threw it directly through traffic, and you see Marist Liufau saying, yep, I got a hand on that one, to set up a third down.
This is one of those RPOs, a run-pass option. He didn't like the run. Morehead getting the ball out. Hits Liufau right in the head. Fortunate for BC, doesn't land in the arms of a waiting Notre Dame secondary player. 3rd and 6 here. Notre Dame brought pressure on the last third down, causing an interception. They're showing it right here.
Show pressure, bring pressure. Morehead trying to step up and through it, and now he is spun down. That is Tariq Bracey, who is there to make the stop, along with J.D. Bertrand. 4th down upcoming. So here comes the SWAT team of the Irish. Brian Mason, special teams coordinator. They have been amazing. The block party, the 7 blocked punts, 5 consecutive games with a block punt, and 6 different players to do it. It's Danny Longman back deep to face that rush. And he gets it away. It's a high punt that's drifting inside the 20-yard line, and Matt Salerno calls for a fair catch right there. It's been all Irish to start. 10-0 over Boston College. So it's another fast start for Notre Dame. And remember last week against Navy, explode out of the gates. 5 touchdowns on the first 6 possessions for Drew Pyne. He was on fire. 4 passing touchdowns, another one on the ground. So Notre Dame led huge at the half. And then the second half showed up and a whole lot of nothing. 0 points on 6 possessions. That's what they did, only 12 net yards. So trying to play a full game this afternoon. Audric Estimé begins in the pistol. And he gets the football, trying the left side of that offensive line, and picks up just a few.
Hey, Jack, getting back to the game from last week, I don't know that I've ever seen a game where the performance was as drastically different from one half to the other. Notre Dame was literally at their best throughout the whole first half, 35 points, and they were disastrous in the second half. And the easy explanation is, hey, Navy just blitzed them in the second half. They couldn't handle it. 3 of the touchdowns early in the game were against all-out pressure, and they handled it beautifully. They just couldn't get themselves started in the second half. Notre Dame changed the momentum here early on in this ball game.
Here's Pyne, and Pyne has a wide receiver. That's complete to Jaden Thomas, and he was the leading receiver last week with a career-high 80 yards and 1 touchdown. So this is the Grip on the Game, brought to you by TireRack.com. And so you see what's happened throughout the course of the season. The second half against Navy, 5 sacks allowed. The rest of the year, just 3.
So this has been an area they've done a good job, and it was just out of characteristic last week for them against Navy, and it's a situation they tried to address. I think as much as anything, it's a style of play thing for them. When they get the running game going like they have so far, everything else comes off of it, and those blitzes get a little quieter.
Here's Pyne, protected well this time, and fires, and this pass is off target. He's looking for Mitchell Evans, and it's Cole Batson there in coverage getting the job done.
Another example of Drew Pyne throwing the football in this weather. It's a corner route again. We saw it earlier down in the red zone. He's trying to drive the ball to the boundary. It just gets hung up. And sometimes the ball gets a little heavier, doesn't come out of your hand quite as cleanly, and can get caught up in the wind here. He wants to throw that ball out in the sidelines a little bit more. They got to look at that going forward. Decide what kind of throws they want to make for Pyne throughout this game.
Couple running backs, and he will flip this ahead. This is Chris Tyree, who's coming across the formation, and really nothing there. 3rd and long upcoming. Let's check in with Zora on the sideline.
Drew Pyne started the game today with gloves on both hands, and then going into the second drive, he took the glove off of his throwing hand. Some trial and error here when it comes to the accessories.
Zora, that was an interesting thing talking to him. And Tommy Rees said he wore gloves 1 time, and that was on his senior night. Basically, Doug Flutie talked him into in pregame warmups. So let's see if the no-glove approach works here on a 3rd and 7. Pyne steps up. Now trying to buy himself some time, and has a wide receiver. But that time, it's Deion Colzie who has been heating up, and Pyne was saying that they built chemistry playing on the second string together. If he's one-on-one, I'm going to Colzie.
Hey, showing some pressure here, but they drop out of there. Ends up being a 3-man rush. Pyne finds some softness in the pocket and then breaks the pocket. Good thing he took the glove off. Big time throw to Colzie. Colzie's a big target running across there at 6'4". And excellent ball skills. Reaches back and makes a catch. Hard to throw the ball in weather like this, but also hard to catch the ball. Big time play by Deion Colzie.
Here's Pyne. Back to the air. Pyne has a wide receiver, and this time it's his running back in Logan Diggs down the sideline. Takes it inside the 15 before Maitrey makes the stop for Boston College.
Looks like Pyne's a little more comfortable throwing the ball to the offensive right. Okay, eventually this is Diggs. He's the tailback. He's working his way out and running up the sidelines. Excellent protection by this Notre Dame offensive line to allow a play like that to develop. And then Pines on the money, and another good hands catch by Logan Diggs.
So Chris Tyree now, the running back. Fake it to him, to the outside, it's Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer with a stiff arm extends the football, and he's going to be marked out just short of reaching that ball in for the touchdown.
One more time, this is one of those run-pass options. If you don't like the run, why not spit it out to that guy? This time he's on target, throwing the ball to the left. Mayer has the ball in the outside hand. Always one of those dangerous things when you reach out down by the goal line. If the ball comes out and goes through the end zone, it's a touchback. Looks like he was outside of that pylon. They marked him at the 1.
They'll keep Chris Tyree in the game at running back. Fake it to him. Here's Pine, and that pass is caught for the touchdown. It's Matt Salerno, and you saw a penalty marker come out right at the conclusion of that catch by Salerno.
There is no foul for offensive pass interference. The pass is behind the line of scrimmage. Touchdown.
Senior day for Salerno. Remember that one.
Crespi High School. Here he is, Salerno, involved in the run game a lot. This time make it look like he's involved in the run. Go fast with the motion, and then run right back out into the flat. The timing is excellent. Pine puts the ball in, pulls it out, spits it out to Salerno. It's excellent execution. The detail of snapping the ball on time was the difference.
And here is Grupe. Good. The senior on senior day. You better believe Tommy Reese knows that calling the plays. Hits him for his first career touchdown.
How about that?
The world's top figure skaters will put on a show as the Grand Prix season continues in Japan tomorrow 4 Eastern on NBC. The Grotto. That is a must stop. You ever visit this campus, cruise over there, light a candle, moment you won't forget. Here is Zach Yoakum, send it deep, and Jalen Gill is back to receive. Catch this one beyond the 10-yard line, and here goes Gill, throttle down out across the 30. Let's check in with Zora.
For Matt Salerno, playing for the Irish is a lifelong dream fulfilled. His grandfather went to Notre Dame and played football here in the 1950s. This summer, head coach Marcus Freeman called Salerno to tell him he would get a scholarship for his final senior season. He says it's an honor and a privilege to put on that helmet every day.
Very cool. And Coach, I know you had some experience with Salerno as well. You were telling me a story just a moment ago.
I sure did. You and I came out here for training camp, and I sat in one of their night team meetings, and Coach Freeman had Matt Salerno talk to the team and talk about what it means to be a Notre Dame football player, and it was something else.
To the ground here, and this time it's Pat Garwo, and there is nothing there for him. And Pine on that last drive, 6 of 7 for 77 yards in the touchdown. I think he's better without the glove.
Yeah, no question. I think unless you've thrown with a glove a lot in your life, it's hard to go out into a ball game for the first time and throw the ball the way you want to. And glad he took it off and be a lot more effective on that last drive throwing it.
Brings Zay Flowers in motion. Now Morehead trying to just get rid of the football. That was Howard Cross who shot into the backfield and was hanging all over Emmett Morehead. He couldn't get away a pass cleanly.
One of the things that impresses this BC coaching staff the most about Emmett Morehead is his calm and poise in the pocket. A lot of moving parts on this BC offensive line. They're the worst in the college football, running the football, the worst in giving quarterback pressures, and the guy who faces the bulk of that is the quarterback. It's a tough environment for him to play, and he's kept his poise. Important for him in this game down 17 to maintain that. A lot of football to be played.
Pressure coming once again. Morehead steps up, and this pass is right on the money. Zay Flowers down the sideline. A big chunk broken off for BC.
And that's Boston College's best player right there, Zay Flowers. He's in a stack alignment. He's got quickness, he's got speed. More than anything else, he's an instinctive player. He keeps the route tight, and Morehead throws a strike. And credit the freshman for laying the ball out there in these conditions. He's had pressure on him all day long. An interception early. He didn't blink. A big-time conversion for BC.
All kinds of speed for Zay Flowers. 4'4", maybe high 4'3" guy coach thought. More pressure coming. Morehead back to the air. And this time he's intercepted. Who else? Benjamin Morrison rises for the pick. His second of the game.
Touchback. First down. Notre Dame.
Benjamin Morrison is something else. It's single high man-to-man coverage outside. It's the same route. It's a go route. The receiver runs a good route. He keeps it tight. Morehead a little bit late with the ball and a little bit short, and Morrison makes him pay. High pointing the ball. Full extension. Eyes to the ball through the catch. This guy is something else. 2 big interceptions against Clemson. 2 more today. And the Irish faithful are going wild.
You're looking at one of the best true freshmen in the entire country. The pride of Brophy Prep out there in Phoenix, Arizona.
This guy's 18 years old, Jack.
Unreal.
He is something else. Mature beyond his years as a person and as a player. He can cover, but he also can catch. He makes the offense pay. Great stuff.
Here's Pine, and Pine delivers a low pass that is caught by Chris Tyree before Cole Batson makes the stop for Boston College.
We can't speak more highly of Benjamin Morrison. What he did against Clemson, the 2 game-changing plays, and the start that he's off to today. And again, we've had a chance to visit with him. He's a young kid. He's trying to figure out college. He's trying to figure out what it's like to be a big-time player here at Notre Dame. And great maturity, great calm and poise about him. And he's an electrifying player.
Pine gives. This is Audric Estimé to set up a 3rd and mid-range for Notre Dame. And remember he talking about Morrison waking up at 6 a.m. to go to the park and work out with his dad. And, you know, Freeman was saying that both of these freshman corners are opposite personalities. Mickey's this big personality, loves talking trash, getting it mixed up. Morrison said every time things get chippy, he goes, "Coach, I'm about to curse right now the way these guys are talking to me." He's that kind of guy, so pure in his faith. And people inside this locker room, inside that building for Notre Dame, have nothing but great things to say about the true freshman.
Don't mistake that for a lack of competitiveness or fire, because he's got that too.
Now a 3rd and 5.
First charge timeout. Notre Dame. 30 seconds.
So Marcus Freeman wants to think about this 3rd down. Any play call that you like here. We get creative in this game, trying to get all 3 of these running backs in the game. They've had success with that as well.
I think the biggest thing that Notre Dame's thinking about here is, are they going to bring pressure? What's my pressure answer? You have to go back to the second half of the game last week against Navy, where they blitzed literally on 18 plays in the second half. They brought pressure time and time again, and Notre Dame did not have answers. Notre Dame has to anticipate that heat here. Make sure they give Drew Pine an answer. A simple, quick solution can win in these situations. So anticipate that, react to everything else.
Irish 1 for 3 on 3rd down so far. Here's Pine, clean drop, and that pass is caught. It's Michael Mayer coming across the field and takes it out just shy of the 50-yard line.
Michael Mayer is so impressive because he does so many different things for the Irish. Okay, this is a sail route. Pretend like I'm going to run an over route across the field. then work your way back out to the corner route. 2 misses on the corner routes early by Pine. That one's right on the money. Good job securing it by Michael Mayer. Irish are rolling.
And Mayer, of course, not a senior, but this very well may be the last time we see him inside Notre Dame Stadium. Surefire first-round draft pick he will be. Audric Estimé, the running back. Give it to him. Big hole opens up for Estimé, and he storms into the secondary.
Really impressive control on the line of scrimmage by this Irish offensive line. It's just Estimé here, and he bounces it into that hole right there. But again, the blue shirts knocking the white shirts off the ball. Look at that removal. You call that displacement. Displace the defensive line, and then this guy, he's 230 pounds. I bet he's 245. He gets a head of steam behind him. He's awfully tough to bring down.
It is all Irish in this first quarter. See the snow starting to come in. A gain of 17 from Estimé to close it out. Irish lead 17-0. Aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. Look at the lakes there as you cruise from above the campus of Notre Dame. Notre Dame rolling in that first quarter in a heavy formation to start the second. Here's Pine. Pine looking for his tight end and Mitchell Evans, and throws that football well behind him. And so there's John McNulty, and Tommy Rees said he is the guy that I am closest to in this profession. Just talked to him yesterday, talked to him weekly, and we talked to McNulty as well, and he said, I think I talked to Tommy Rees more than I talked to my wife, in a joking way, but he said, man, we are so close, talk about TV shows, talk about plays that we see in the NFL, plays that we see in college, share information. McNulty calls and checks on Michael Mayer, checks on his old tight end room, always wants to know what's going on at Notre Dame. He really didn't plan on leaving, but professionally thought the opportunity to be offensive coordinator was too good at BC. Handoff here, Audric Estimé bursts through the middle. Another first down run by Audric Estimé. There they were together, coaching at the University of Notre Dame, and then pregame as well. Let's take a look at this as they were hanging out almost the entirety of pregame, just catching up in person for the first time in a while.
Hey, Jack, this relationship goes back to the LA Chargers when Tommy Rees was the quality control coach and John McNulty was a position coach.
Here's Pine, protection's great, and he's looking for Michael Mayer, who can't hang on.
And it's a great relationship because it happens a lot in football with players. A veteran player kind of mentoring a younger player, and it happens in coaching as well. McNulty was a veteran coach. Tommy Rees was an incoming entry-level coach in the NFL, and he really took Tommy under his wing and then had the opportunity to come back here and be the tight ends coach at Notre Dame the last couple of years when Tommy's been the offensive coordinator. They have a great relationship, personal relationship, football relationship, and the bonds they formed many years ago continue to stay strong.
Here's Pine trying to set up a screen, and he can't get the football to Logan Diggs. And just to finish that story, McNulty was saying, you know, I'm an Irish Catholic kid from Scranton. Notre Dame was the holy grail of life to me. I had no intentions of leaving ever. I wanted to stay right there. But he knew Jeff Hafley for a long time, and when he got the opportunity to be the offensive coordinator, he said, man, it's just too good to pass that up.
Yeah, hard professional decision, but you get a chance to run the offense like he has at Boston College. Too good an opportunity. You see these offenses, when they're at their best, they look a lot alike. I think both these guys have influenced each other strongly throughout the years.
So 3rd and 10 now for Tommy Rees to think about. Empty look to start, and he'll motion Chris Tyree behind Pine. Pine has his pass deflected, and that has been the story of his year. A whole bunch of batted passes at the line, standing 5'11", and it's Azaruku who got a hand up and batted it away.
Again, the protection is clean. And this can happen for a couple different reasons. Pine is not the tallest guy, 5'11" and change, but also sometimes when you stare down a receiver, they get stoned at the line of scrimmage, they see where your eyes are going, they stop and they jump. That's what happened there. It's happened throughout this year for Notre Dame.
So here's Grupe from 41 yards away, and that is good. Gives Notre Dame a 20-0 lead.
Been really impressive by Notre Dame on offense to start this ball game. The initial drive all the way down the field, they kick a field goal. They cash in, scoring a touchdown after the Morrison interception. And then score 2 more times here. They're scoring on all their drives. It's what they did in the first half last week against Navy. They got to maintain it. Stats heavy in Notre Dame's favor throughout this ball game so far.
And Coach, the college football community was devastated this week after the shooting Sunday night that killed 3 football players at the University of Virginia. And head coach Tony Elliott said they were incredible young men who had extremely bright futures, and Virginia's game against Coastal Carolina scheduled for today was canceled in recognition of those lost. And our thoughts, of course, remain with all those impacted, including the entire campus down there in Charlottesville. And both these teams today showing respect with the decal on their helmet.
What a tragedy.
So Yoakum send it deep, and that flies over the head of Gill, and then for the touchback. So you're Boston College, you're down 20-0. Beginning of the second quarter. How do you try to get yourself back into this game?
Yeah, you take comfort in what happened 7 days ago against NC State when you're down 14 late in that ball game. You just settle in. There's a lot of football to be played. The biggest issue with Boston College on offense is the offensive line has been in a shambles all year long with injuries. A lot of really good players graduated in the NFL. They're banged up front. They can't run it, and they don't protect very well. Puts a lot of burden on this freshman quarterback.
Here's Morehead once again, and this time it's complete. That is Zay Flowers, and that'll give Morehead his second completion. He's over 40 yards now. He has the 2 interceptions, and he has been blitzed on 8 of 9 dropbacks to begin this
Here's
game.
Flowers here, and you can see his quickness, his change of direction. Pretends like he's going inside, foot in the ground, comes back out, creates tremendous separation. And love what John McNulty does here. You don't run it very well, you don't protect very well, move the quarterback, get him away from all those defenders inside. A good drive starter for the Eagles.
Back to the ground, 2nd and 1. It's Alex Broom trying to gain that first down. It will be awfully close, maybe just short based on the spot.
It's really a mismatch up front, Jack. I mean, this veteran defensive line that Notre Dame has, and then these young players on Boston College offensive line. A couple of them are going to be good players, but a couple of these guys, they were defensive players in training camp. Because of all the injuries, they've had to bring guys over, shuffle it around a lot, and you see it on a play like that, they create no movement up front. They try to run the ball inside on 2nd and 1, and they get nothing. They get dominated. So these 3rd and 1s become that much more challenging when you have that mismatch on the line of scrimmage.
They're going to let Morehead pass. Now he's scrambling and trying to get a throw down the sideline. That's Alex Broom, who somehow spun around and made the catch. What a catch by Alex Broom down the sideline.
It was a big-time catch and a heck of a throw. He go back shoulder. Look at Broom. Again, it's 25 degrees and cold out here. I don't know if he secured it all the way through.
Close.
If you're BC, try to snap it as fast as you can. I don't know, maybe that right hand got underneath it. Ball didn't move that much. It was called a catch on the field. They're letting it go. Nice job.
Trying to set up the screen here. He's looking for Garwo and puts the pass beyond him.
Boy, that's a missed opportunity right there for Boston College. You could feel that pass rush in Morehead's face immediately. He drifts over to the right-hand side and just simply misses the throw. Good with his eyes, good find in the screen, too much touch on it. There was a lot of running room out in front of Garwal on that one. Those are the kind of plays you need if you want to get back into this ball game.
Now on 2nd and 10, play action. Morehead tried to escape the pressure. Football is out, and that ball is recovered. Isaiah Foskey there. It's Jack Kizer with the hit that got the football loose. Isaiah
Rolling on the
Foskey
field is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down.
on the spot for the recovery. Moments from the Holy War, 2019 Senior Day, the last time these two teams met here in South Bend. The Irish victorious 40-7. Back to the ground. Here's Chris Tyree, and he is swallowed up. That's Vinny De Palma making the stop.
Take a look at the fumble here, Jack. One of the things I've been so impressed by with Emmett Morehead is his pocket presence and how he carries the football, but not this time. They were trying to take a shot down the field, and he gets stuck holding the ball with one hand. Jack Kizer knocked it out, and then the effort by Foskey to recover it. The big thing for the freshman is to put these plays behind you, learn from them, and just try to execute one play at a time. The ball is going to be critical for him going forward. 3 turnovers already.
Here is Logan Diggs, and he picks up 9. Yeah, you mentioned it. 3 takeaways, and that is a season high for Notre Dame defensively.
When you win the ball, you usually win the game, particularly when you're the team that's better. And that's one of the things that BC had to do in this ball game. They had to play a clean game. It hasn't been clean so far, but reflect back 1 week ago, their game against NC State and Notre Dame's game against Navy. There's a lot of football to be played.
And here comes the tight end sneak once again. It's Mitchell Evans, and it appears he got another. I mean, coming into this game, he had 0 targets, 5 carries, 5 first downs, and 1 touchdown. There's another first down for him.
Fantastic. This has been such a good play for them in these short yardage situations. Clean exchange, great surge up front. And then when you're 6'5", 255, you're going to move the pile yourself. And I love the story that Tommy Rees told us. You know, he had watched Travis Kelce do this so much at Kansas City through the years, so they wanted to use it. Mitchell Evans had played some quarterback in high school. Let's do it with Evans. He found out after they put it in that he was a gun quarterback. He'd never been under center.
That's right. He's darn good at it, though. I know that. It looked like Pine there who was calling for a timeout.
Take a charge timeout. Notre Dame. 30 seconds.
Let's check in with Zora.
Well, Jack, the other side of that story is from Mitchell Evans. He said a few weeks ago, Tommy Rees texted him a picture with no explanation or context. It just said, Mitchapalooza. At a pre-practice meeting, Coach explained the text was not just a reference to the film Old School, but the title of a new play. That play was what you all just detailed.
Mitchapalooza.
Mitchapalooza. It's the best play in football. Between Notre Dame blocking 7 punts and then putting their tight end at quarterback and running these quarterback sneaks, I've really never seen anything like it. It works every time.
And credit to Mitchell Evans, but also credit to the rest of the blockers who come in directly behind him and push that pile. And that's one of Tommy Rees's favorite things. When you get offensive linemen or running backs or receivers or tight ends that come up behind the football and push that entire pile forward, you see them do it so often with great success.
The only feeling for those defensive linemen.
Here is Chris Tyree, and Tyree is going to pick up about 5 yards there, working directly up the middle of that BC defense.
Notre Dame has cashed in on their first 4 drives, 2 touchdowns, Diggs and Salerno, but 2 field goals. When they've kicked the field goals, it's been inefficiency on 2nd down in this sticky area right here. So important for them to be able to continue to have good 2nd down plays to keep themselves out of those 3rd downs that BC's done a good job getting off the field on.
Pressure coming, and it forces Pine out of the pocket, and now he's going to look downfield, and it's incomplete. Vinny De Palma, who is in the face of Pine and flushed him.
That's it. Pressure, pressure, and more pressure. That's really BC's best chance. Coming off the edge or coming up inside. Try to create a stressful environment for their quarterback. And now they've got themselves into that 3rd and 4 situation. These are not easy. BC did a good job getting off the field last time with the block pass of Pine. I would anticipate pressure one more time.
Irish have been good on 3rd down, 4 for 6 so far. Motion Michael Mayer out of the backfield. Pine, he's going to scramble for it, try to gain that 1st down, and he did with his legs, it appears. Spot right on that line, and I think they're going to give him that 1st down.
Jack, I thought Heat, they went 4-man rush. They played zone. Pine saw lane. He's not a great runner, but he's a competitive runner. At the end of the down, he knew he needed 4. He put that shoulder down, did a good job securing the ball. There was some pressure from behind him. He locked it up. I think that left knee goes down, but I think he's across there. We're calling 4th and inches.
So the refs are taking their time with this, and based on the spot, it's just shy, and it looked like that football was a little beyond where they had marked it when he was running. Bring the chains out. Awfully close.
Yeah, and I don't know about that spot, but I don't think there's any doubt what Marcus Freeman was going to do here. I bet Mitchell Evans plays quarterback here and they run a quarterback sneak. Jack, what do you think?
I'm with you. I think right now Marcus Freeman wants him to take another look at that spot. He's still having a conversation with the refs. Love the idea of the play call.
I'm with you, though. When I saw it, I thought he had made it the first time. But these are hard to overturn because that yellow line isn't a factor here.
So knee down there.
That's the left knee. You can't see the ball in that view.
Yep. So they will have to bring the offense back out. And just as you said, here goes Mitchell Evans back to the quarterback spot. There's movement. It appeared it was the Irish who jumped up out of their stands first. I think that was the right guard and Josh Lugg who moved.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That hurts.
That's an absolute killer right there. No doubt Lugg moved quickly. BC reacts to that movement, and they all point to Lugg.
So that will bring Blake Grupe back out. It's 2 for 2 so far. This is deepest of the day from 46. Can he bend it back? Yes! How about Grupe? On the money once again. So this has been a game for Grupe to shine. The transfer on senior day. It's a draw.
Shaping it.
Just want to take a moment to thank all you seniors for everything you've done for me and Notre Dame football. You've helped lay the foundation for Coach Freeman and his new coaching staff, as well as this new chapter at Notre Dame.
On the defensive line, I want to thank Jason and Justin Amalola and Isaiah Foskey for always showing what it means to be a true brotherhood.
There they are, the Adamalolas on the sideline. Their family making the trip as well. So they had the Sprinter vans. They had to pick up so many family members and friends on the road here to South Bend, and this in for the touchback. And Jason is not playing today. He's in concussion protocol. Justin is, and they were telling us some great stories yesterday about their dad, and their dad's from Nigeria. Said for Dad, Notre Dame is everything. Only school he would talk about. He came to the U.S., 20 years old, trying to make money for his mom who was sick. His first job selling newspapers. He's so gritty, becomes a salesman, works his way up to become a salesman on Wall Street. And they both told us, if I can put a smile on my dad's face, I already made it.
Jack, it was so much fun talking to those guys yesterday and following them all year long. And they used the word gratitude 15 times in our conversation. how grateful they are to be here at Notre Dame and the opportunity to come to an institution like this and then do it together, play together on the same defense. They had huge smiles on their faces, such genuine people, and they're really what college football is all about.
St. Peter's Prep, same school as Brandon Wimbush, Minka Fitzpatrick. Saw those guys in the 8th grade said, we want to commute. We want to make that trip. So it was about a 90-minute trip that they would make, wake up at 5:45 in the morning. The head coach would pick them up. They'd drive all the way over to go play high school football at the highest level there in Jersey as the snow begins to fall inside Notre Dame Stadium. There's Morehead, swings it out. This is Zay Flowers working out of the backfield. It'll set up a 3rd down. That's Cam Hart making the stop.
Jack, continuing on Adamalola, you know, they grew up in Jackson, New Jersey, and they go to high school at St. Peter's in Jersey City, and then they pick up Minka Fitzpatrick in a place called Woodbridge.
Yeah.
They get another guy in Freehold. You don't know that geography, but it's an hour and a half every day both ways to go have that opportunity, and they felt like if they didn't do that, they wouldn't have an opportunity to live out their dream playing here at Notre Dame. And again, they're so grateful for the whole experience.
3rd down opportunity here for Justin to rush the passer. Morehead, Justin in his face, gets it away. It's Alex Broom, and now Broom heads forward, picks up that 1st down for Boston College before J.D. Bertrand makes the stop for Notre Dame.
We're going to find out a lot about Emmett Morehead going forward. 3 turnovers early in this ball game, but watch the poise here. He's under duress one more time. That's Justin bringing the heat. He spits the ball out to Broom, a big conversion here for Boston College. There's a mismatch up front. Hard for this BC offensive line to block this Notre Dame defensive line. And how Morehead handles this pressure, big indication what kind of quarterback he's going to be going forward.
More pressure coming. Steps up directly into the face of that pressure, and he finds Jeremiah Franklin, the 2nd tight end for Boston College, for a nice completion.
I couldn't be more impressed with those last 2 throws. Again, he's a young guy. It's 25 degrees. You know, snow's in your face. You're not blocking him up front. You have no running game. You've thrown 2 interceptions. You fumbled once. Okay, the only that matters is what you do now. Are you mentally tough enough to play this play? He's demonstrating that right now.
2nd and 4 through the flurries. Swing it out. That pass is caught. It's George Takis, the transfer from Notre Dame. And Takis got just short. It's going to set up a 3rd down and short. And Reese said that Takis was staying. He thought he was going to stay at Notre Dame. Then McNulty got the job to become the offensive coordinator. He knew that Mayer, of course, would be coming back and all the targets that Michael Mayer would get for Notre Dame. So he said, I'm going to go over to BC, try this thing out, try to be the featured tight end, and that's what he's been. Swing this out on 3rd down, and that is a quick hit put on. Ball still live, and Marist Liufau scoops it up, and Marist Liufau in for the touchdown. The hit was put on by Cam Hart that sprung the football loose. How are they going to rule this?
Pass, 4th down.
So was it a backwards pass?
We got a pretty good angle on it. Looks like it was a backwards pass to us.
They rule it incomplete. The wind's drifted with that thing. What do you think?
Again, we got a pretty good view at it from up here, Jack, and I think that ball is behind. I think it goes backwards. It's a little bit of a bubble.
Under further review.
Zay Flowers is going to bubble backwards a little bit. So he's throwing it on about the 1st hash mark, and he's catching it about the 2nd hash mark. Be real surprised if they didn't rule this a fumble.
See if we can draw the exact line here. Take a break. Irish lead 23-0. So over the break, that was ruled a backwards pass. Now they're unable to advance it because they said it was an incomplete pass. Terry McCauley explained this exactly why they couldn't pick it up and run with it.
Exactly, Jack. They did rule on the field incomplete pass. So that's the ruling replay starts with. Obviously, it is a backward pass. It was clearly recovered by Notre Dame. They get the ball to spot of recovery. They cannot have the advance.
Freeman did not like that ruling.
He got the important ruling. They got the ball. Sun's coming out here in South Bend. They're up 23-0. A lot of good things happening for Marcus right now.
And Terry, is there any reason to let that play out, to not blow the whistle, let that entire play happen, and then come back and do it after the fact? Or how do they go about that mentally, talking about the refs?
Well, the reason is that they need to rule what they see on the field. They clearly made a mistake. They should have ruled it as backward pass because it's clearly backward. But you really don't let things play out. What you do is rule what you see on the field. Unfortunately, this time that was an error.
So now they're going to go back over and take another look. Terry, any idea what they might be looking at here?
I really couldn't tell you. This seems pretty black and white to me. It's a backward pass recovered by Notre Dame. Set the clock back to 5:08 at the spot of recovery, or spot of incomplete pass. I really don't know why they would be going back here.
The other piece of this story, Jack, it was 3rd and inches. And they throw a bubble screen to Zay Flowers in a 25-degree snowstorm. And it goes back to the story we talked about at the outset, the dominance of this Notre Dame defensive line. Hard for BC to run the ball all year long. Hard for them to protect the quarterback. Trying to get the ball out into space in a situation like that.
Place at the 42-yard line. First down.
So they're trying to get the spot. You hear the boos come down from the Irish faithful. It is also a great play by Cam Hart, who put that hit on Flowers right as that pass was moving backwards. So here comes Drew Pine and hands this off to Logan Diggs, and just a gain of 3 there for Diggs.
You mentioned Cam Hart making the play there. That's been something that's really jumped out to us over the course of the season. The playmaking ability of the corners at Notre Dame and the physicalness, willingness to make tackle, make plays on bubble screens and quick screens and stick their nose in there. We saw it against Clemson. We saw it against their big play in this ball game, getting the ball back for Notre Dame.
Multiple running backs in the backfield. Flip it to Logan Diggs. You got Estimé as the lead blocker. And here goes Diggs working his way down the sideline inside the 15-yard line. It was Audric Estimé and Joe Alt who were leading the way for Diggs.
Love what Tommy Rees does here. You see this all the time with Notre Dame. Now they're going to bring a guy across, and we're going to pitch it wide. They're ready to defend in here. They capture the edge of the defense. Look at Alt. Look at Estimé. Out in front. You can't give a guy like Logan Diggs all that space. Big explosive run for the Irish.
Pickup of 26 yards, and he is over 100 yards on the game, talking about Diggs. End around here, handed off. It's Lorenzo Styles who's moving his way forward inside the 10.
Jack, it's the same idea. You've heard me talk about north-south runs. That's when Notre Dame is at their best. Hammer them inside. And when you do that effectively, the defense loads everybody up inside. So now you get to the perimeter. Tommy Rees doing a good job complementing that success inside with the pitch to Diggs. And now it's the fly sweep the other way to Styles, keeping the BC Eagles defense off balance.
Pine hands it off. It's Audric Estimé. Had the nice block. Now the nice run. Touchdown, Notre Dame. It's Audric Estimé.
Audric Estimé is such a good red zone runner. This play is meant to go downhill, get stuffed inside. The lateral quickness and feel and agility to bounce it outside. We've seen this happen a lot this year. The speed to get to the space. Big on those runs for a big guy like that. He's awfully good down there.
That is the 10th rushing touchdown of the season for Audric Estimé. Blake Grupe on for the extra point. 31-0 Notre Dame.
hammer them north and south. When they take it away, bounce it outside. There's Estimé one more time for the Irish. It's 30-0.
You got the leprechaun picking up some snowballs, and he's dishing.
Looks like Elf.
You got to be careful. They'll be throwing those marshmallows right back at the leprechaun now. Senior day tradition. Run game, straight up the middle goes Chris Tyree, breaks a tackle. You see the speed he has as Tyree goes inside the 25.
North-south runs, but Notre Dame does better than anybody in the country. It's not complicated. They do it time and time and time again. Blue shirts knocking the white shirts off the ball. Give the back different places to run it, let them find it. Excellent by Tyree there.
Here's Pine, he wants all of it and floats it over the head of Michael Mayer. And remember, for Notre Dame, it was this kind of a hot start against Navy. The second half, very different. So you can imagine that halftime message, they will be on this team even with the lead.
Yeah, it sounds like we're promoting the game in the second half, but just go back 7 days for both these teams. BC was down against NC State, seemed out of it. They came back and won the game. Notre Dame seemed in control, and Navy gave them all they could handle in the second half. So a lot of football will be played. No doubt Notre Dame has been in control. Important for them to cash this one in.
Here's Pine. That pass is caught. It's Jaden Thomas. And Thomas gets across that line to gain for the first down before De Palma makes the stop for Boston College.
Jack, college football started in 1869. It's a long, long time ago. Since then and up to this day, the game is won on the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame is controlling the offensive line of scrimmage, a comfortable environment for Pine. BC has no chance on the other side. That's been the story of the game.
To the run once again, Chris Tyree, touchdown, Notre Dame.
Run it, and run it again, and run it north and south. Been effective for Notre Dame. One more time, they're in the gun. It's just a downhill run where the blue shirts get on the white shirts. It's not only the down guys, the tight ends, the All-American, Michael Mayer, sliding back, knocking defenders onto the ground. Chris Tyree knows what to do with it.
And there is Blake Grupe for the extra point. And Notre Dame has a 37-0 first half lead.
Exactly the kind of start that Marcus Freeman wanted for his team. Hard to get up 37 in the first half. He'll have an easy speech at halftime after what happened last week. Take a look at that. 35-plus points in 5 straight games. Second time in school history. That's approaching 80 years. The last time it happened, and a lot of scrutiny of this Notre Dame offense. They've come up big and they're playing their best football right now. Tommy Rees putting all the pieces together. The physicalness of the offensive line, the presence of the tight ends, the three-headed monster at running back, and timely plays by Pine in this receiving core. They've been awfully good.
It has been that three-headed monster at running back for the entirety of the season for Notre Dame. Chris Tyree, Audric Estimé, Logan Diggs, and all 3 Notre Dame running backs have a touchdown in this first half. As Yoko keeps this one in bounds, and it is fielded at the 10 by Gill. And Gill is stopped up just beyond the 20. Take a shot here? Go see what you can do?
It can feel like a hopeless situation for Boston College, but your mindset and your mentality as a player and as a coach is, let just one drive at a time, one play at a time within the drive. It's the ultimate cliche. We get that, but that's how you have to think. You can't look at the scoreboard. You can't score 37 at once. You need to execute one ball play. Would give them a shot in the arm if they can move the ball and get some points here before half.
It's been a fun matchup on the outside between Morrison and Zay Flowers, the star for Boston College, lined up across from each other once again, bottom of the screen. They'll hand this football off, And this is Garlow. And looks like Boston College is going to try to get back up on the football. But in this first half, that has very clearly gone to Morrison, as you now see Cam Hart making his way toward the sideline with a limp. So that brings Jaden Mickey into the game, a couple true freshman cornerbacks for the Irish. And pressure gets there, and it is Isaiah Foskey getting a sack. Justin Tuck's record is in trouble. Here comes Isaiah Foskey. He wants to be Notre Dame's all-time leader in sacks. And he got it.
Foskey is a big-time pass rusher, and it's a mismatch for him. He's working against Ozzie Trapillo on the left-hand side of the BC offensive line, and he had no chance. Excellent get-off. He works speed to power, and that guy on the right-hand side, Justin Tuck, is as good as it comes here at Notre Dame in the National Football League. Quite an accomplishment for Isaiah Foskey.
And Tuck, his mentor as well. You just spend 5 seconds talking to Foskey and you understand what Tuck means to him. All Notre Dame. They lead 37-0 over Boston College. All-State halftime report coming up next.
Lake Michigan is incredibly beautiful, but it can also be incredibly dangerous. As a Michigan City firefighter, it is very common for us to get a call about a drowning victim. Deploying our search team takes a lot of time and coordination, and it relies on accurate information. I've been in too many situations where if we could have gotten to somebody quicker, we may have been able to save their life.
Notre Dame computer science and engineering professor Jane Cleland Huang develops artificial intelligence solutions for drones. She and her students deploy drones to carry out specific missions, to assist rescuers and find victims faster.
The artificial intelligence that we developed allows a group of drones to be semi-autonomous, meaning that they can communicate with one another, coordinate their flight patterns, and make decisions based on what they find, all with very little human guidance. The drones can also be programmed to focus on different characteristics, which can help identify a lost or drowning person much faster.
This technology is unique in that it allows the drones to act as an independent part of the rescue team. It also speeds up the process in such a way that it enhances the safety of the responders and the victims while providing critical situational awareness. Without any doubt, this will play a vital role in many emergencies, from drownings to disasters.
To be able to rely on a team of intelligent drones that can cover large areas quickly and report back to us, that is invaluable. Those hours, minutes, and even seconds that we save can be the difference between life and death.
Being able to use computer technology to help these brave first responders save lives is what motivates me.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for intelligent solutions that save lives.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Notre Dame leads big at the half over Boston College, and here is a look at today's game flow brought to you by Progressive. These Irish running backs, they have been spectacular. 37, the most points in a half this season, 19 carries, 202, 3 touchdowns, 10.6 yards per carry by those running backs. Then the turnovers, the interceptions, the fumble recoveries. Benjamin Morrison rising as a young star. And Isaiah Foskey, the most sacks in Notre Dame history, taking over for Tuck. First half stats, the time of possession. Notre Dame in complete control there. The rush yards, that's what they do when Boston College cannot get the run game going at all. Let's go down to the sideline, check in with Zora Stevenson.
Before Marcus Freeman went into the locker room, he sat with me and he acknowledged Isaiah Foskey's new all-time sacks record here at Notre Dame. He said it's a reflection of that young man's career. As for the game in that locker room, Marcus Freeman asked his team one question: what kind of team are we? Are we going to learn from the Navy's second half performance? And interestingly enough, Boston head coach Jeff Hafley asked his team the same thing. What kind of team are we? He said, we're going to have to fight, and it's not all going to happen at once. They're down 37-0.
Yeah, Zora, and you got the feeling, talking to Marcus Freeman yesterday, that he was sick of the narrative that the Irish played down to the level of their opponents. He almost got a little angry even just talking about it, and you anticipated they would come out today looking for a fight, and they did.
Hey, Jack, sometimes when you're evaluating a player that you really like in the draft, a lot of people want to see them in competitive situations, and I get that. No question about that, but you also want to see them when they're way ahead or way behind. How do they play in these situations? Who are they in these situations when you're up 37 or down 37? Do you play the same way? Do you play your best regardless of what the circumstances are? We'll find out on both sides here in these next 30 minutes.
So let's see the quarterback comparison brought to you by Under Armour. There are the numbers for Morehead as he heads back onto the field. Pine as well has the touchdown to Salerno.
Jack, to me, it has less to do with the quarterbacks and more to do with the environment. Notre Dame has been dominant up front on both sides, reflecting how the quarterbacks have played.
Pressure coming from Notre Dame. They'll run right into it. It's Pat Garwo who picks up 6 before Xavier Watts makes the stop for the Irish.
Last week prior to the Navy game, Marcus Freeman talked about these guys from Navy. I guarantee you one thing, they will never quit. And I think that's a message that the Notre Dame players heard a lot leading up to the game and then after the game. And hopefully it's a lesson learned for this Irish defense and their entire football team.
One more time on the ground and nothing there. That's Marist Liufau from his linebacker spot, who's in the backfield making the tackle.
Liufau awfully active. You see him right here on the right side of your screen. He's just one of those guys who can do a lot of different things. He can rush the passer, he can defend the run, he can shoot a gap. He's athletic and instinctive. Shows up big there. This will be a big third down for Emmett Morehead in this BC offense.
Morehead protected well, but there's a dangerous pass. That's J.D. Bertrand. Had an opportunity for the interception. You can see he's upset with himself that he didn't hang on.
Flowers is the best player for BC. Morehead trying to get him the ball on a quick little slant. Bertrand has such good instincts and a feel. He reads the quarterback's eyes, drives on the ball, and he's going to be kicking himself on that one. That felt like a pick 6 to him.
This punt block group appears to be coming after Danny Longman again. We've been successful getting these punts away. This is a short, high punt that goes to 50 and coming up to get it Salerno, and he's unable to field that football cleanly. Boston College thinks they have the football, and the refs agree, and they do exactly what BC needed to start this half.
Just a couple things here. Excellent job by Longman getting the ball out. And then Salerno, sure-handed, but it's blustery. It's hard. He's doing the right thing. Fair catch and trying to make a play on the ball. Conditions aren't easy. Ball slips through his hands, and the BC Eagles take advantage.
And that was Gunnar Daniel, the snapper, the long snapper, got in there for the recovery. Boston College offense right back onto the field. Morehead trying to escape and throw the football away, and he is able to. Snow's picking up in here.
It sure is. Talk about duress. He got a lot of things he's got to deal with right now. The snow is coming down harder and harder. There's Notre Dame rushers in his face. He just got to find some simple solutions to get the ball moving a little bit, because it's been a struggle.
Please reset the game clock to 13:28.
It's been a struggle trying to keep Emmett Morehead comfortable back there in the pocket.
It was snowy, then it was sunny for a second.
It sure was.
The snow comes back. This is just another day in South Bend. Just another day, I guarantee you.
Spoken like a former student.
Look at this snow circling around. 2nd and 10. Back to the pass game, trying to set up a screen. Is that intercepted again? It was Benjamin Morrison who was flying up. He read the screen. He says 1, 2, 3. His 3rd interception of this game. Get out of here, Benjamin Morrison.
It's the 2nd time Morehead's been high on one of these screens. Ball comes out of his hand, a tipped opportunity, and who else? Benjamin Morrison making another play for the Irish.
You can barely see the field right now.
And there's great energy and juice in the stands, too. People are fired up. You can't even see touchdown Jesus.
Look at that shot. Handoff, I think, is right up the middle. It is Logan Diggs. Well, we're nice, warm, and cozy up in the booth. Zora Stevenson on the sideline. Zora, how is it down there?
Jack, I'm on the field, and I can barely see the play. Normally, the Irish have Gatorade and water as hydration options. Today, they've added hot apple cider, hot chocolate, and get this, hot chicken broth, too.
Let's see if they can run one up. That sounds darn good. A little hot chocolate.
I'm just glad we have the legendary Malibu Kelly Hayes as our spotter.
Yeah,
nobody better decipher who has the ball in this game.
Those binoculars do good use. Run game here. It's Logan Diggs, and set up a 3rd and long through the flurries. And remember, Coach Freeman made a point about we're practicing outside all week. We're going to be outside. He said the energy was tremendous at practice, but he wanted them to live in this style environment. It's been snowing all week. You've seen the shots at campus, snowing throughout as we headed in to the weekend, and snow once again on Saturday afternoon. Handoff on 3rd and 10. It's Audric Estimé, and Estimé escapes, and he is going to get close to that 1st down line.
Well, Notre Dame is built for this. Notre Dame is built for this. That's what this team is all about. Look at this shots. You can't even see anything. And here comes Estimé coming out of the stack. But this is how they built their program. Offensive linemen, tight ends, a 3-back rotation. So you can practice inside, outside, whatever. You're controlling the line of scrimmage and handing it to those guys. You're going to have success. And they're embracing this opportunity right now.
You better believe that snow is sticking. Field starting to disappear. Turn white. Another run up the middle. Short run. Pickup of 1 before Williams made the stop for Boston College.
You know what's so much fun about this, Jack, is this becomes an incredibly memorable game, right, for everybody. If you're a student at Notre Dame, hey, do you remember the BC game? If you're a player, if you're a coach, if you're announcing the game, it just becomes so memorable. The whiteout in South Bend, and Notre Dame is rolling, and you can feel the energy in this stadium. Everybody's loving it. Maybe everybody but that BC defensive front.
They're trying to get a substitution on the field here for a 2nd and 9. You see Michael Mayer trying to figure out the play call, and they're going to have to take a timeout talking about Notre Dame. Well, step aside through the snow. 37-0 Notre Dame. Take a trip down memory lane here. A little flashback to the Snow Bowl. Number 22, Penn State. Irish, of course, ranked themselves. Look at the bus. Jerome Bettis gets the touchdown on the roll. Meyer into the end zone. Notre Dame, number 8, Notre Dame knocks off Penn State 17-16. Snow Bowl Part 2 coming right here. Notre Dame undefeated in the snow in this stadium. Here goes Lorenzo Styles trying to gain the edge. 1st down, Styles as he takes it inside the 15-yard line.
There we asked Tommy Rees earlier in the week, what's the biggest key in this game? He says we have to be able to handle the ball in the weather, and he's testing his group right there. They've been hammering them north and south. They run the around play to Styles off of that. Clean exchange by Pine to Styles, and another big play for the Irish.
Everything about this offense is designed to play in weather just like I think they'd play every game in this weather if you gave them the option. Pine, Chris Tyree up the middle, and Tyree picks up 9.
When you have this team, you embrace these conditions. And I love talking to Jared Patterson yesterday. Coach Freeman talked about, hey, you can't be tough if you're cold. Wear what you need to wear. We asked Patterson, he says no sleeves on the offensive line. They got no sleeves on. And they're getting after this BC defensive front. He looks good, doesn't he?
Sure does. Freeman told Zora at the beginning of the game, no such thing as a cold, tough guy.
That's it.
He's got the hood up over there on the Notre Dame sideline. Here goes Drew Pine on the roll, trying to throw a touchdown, but that pass is bobbled and then dropped. It's Batson who had an opportunity for it. Jones as well was there, and the football lands in the snow. And you mentioned Jarrett Patterson. 0 sacks allowed on over 1,500 pass blocking snaps. 0 sacks allowed. Tremendous.
It's really amazing. It's an amazing statistic because sometimes sacks just kind of happen almost by accident. Might not even be a fault of yours, but he's been incredible as a protector, as a run blocker, and maybe most importantly, as a leader for this Notre Dame offensive line. They've embraced his leadership, and they followed it.
Tight end Sneed with a little surprise. Here goes Audric Estimé in for the touchdown. How about a snow angel?
I'm sure Tommy Reese has been dying to call that thing. So much success with the tight end sneak. Even on a snowy, cold day. Let's let the tight end hand it to the runner. He's awfully good down here. Doesn't matter who hands him the ball. Estimé is going to find the end zone. Love it. Great compliment to a play that's been so good for him all year long.
And Marcus Freeman said, I love the tight end sneak, but what I want is some variety off of it. Can you give me a little variety off that call? There's your variety. 44-0.
Look at this. How good is this? It's like you're 10 years old in the backyard playing.
You got Houston Griffith there with the hold. Yoakum send it deep and into the end zone it will go. How about this number though? Rush yards today. Notre Dame 261, and it's been all 3 of their running backs. Boston College 6.
Yeah. If there's a 257-yard rushing yard differential midway through the third quarter, and then I can predict who's winning the game.
No kid. And it has been musical chairs this season for Boston College and that offensive line, just trying to figure it out. 8 different starting offensive line combinations. Only played the same O-line twice this year. They lost 4 key guys from last season. They had 1 guy coming back in Mahogany, and he tears his ACL over the summer. So they will try to run it behind that offensive line, getting some good push here, and that's Pat Garwo with a nice pickup. So this is that O-line shuffle. Look at all the positions. 3 left tackles, 4 at that guard spot, 2 centers, 2 at the right guard, 4 at the right tackle spot. They've tried anything and everything, including moving defensive linemen over to the offensive line, just trying to make it happen.
The irony of this whole thing is Boston College has a tremendous tradition and history of great offensive linemen. It's like Notre Dame in that way. It's part of the identity of the program.
There's Garwo, and not much there.
And Jack, they had so many good players last year. Really good offensive line across the board, but through graduation, guys playing in the NFL, the injuries to the really good players this year, it's just tough. And this goes back a long way. Since they started the draft, Notre Dame and Boston College, big-time players, first-round picks as offensive linemen. And the story of today has been Notre Dame has continued that tradition, and BC, at least for this year, has not.
3rd and 3. Here's Morehead, swing it out. It's Zay Flowers. This time he does catch it. Now Zay Flowers breaks a tackle, and he will pick up a first down for Boston College. And we have got a player down on the field for Notre Dame, and that's Cam Hart, who is slow back up to his feet. So that Boston College offensive line, you mentioned it, there's the 2021 group, and they were terrific. 3 of them made NFL rosters. And then preseason, Coach was even saying it, Coach Hafley, we felt pretty good about the group that we had coming back, and it was one injury after another. So you had to get creative, and you move a guy like Jackson Ness from D-line over to O-line, and the same goes for Alec, just trying to get some bodies over there. And you're saying, we had flu. We had some flu symptoms hit the team this week. Guess what position group it hit the hardest?
Offensive line.
Offensive line.
And again, to be so good last year, upholding that BC tradition, and to be decimated like they have, it really becomes a struggle. It's hard to make an inch.
Handoff, and that's Garwo again, and maybe got a half a yard.
Identity is such an important word when you're building a program and building a football team. What's the identity of the team? Notre Dame, pretty clear. Offensive line, tight ends, physical, downhill, north-south. Go get the quarterback, control the line of scrimmage on defense. And BC has a similar identity. But when you don't have those guys up front, it's hard to really, control the line of scrimmage and have the identity that you want. And that's what we're seeing. We've seen it all year long. It's been a struggle for these guys.
That was Marist Liufau trying to time up the snap count perfectly. See if we got movement offensively.
Offense, number 67, 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's Jack Conley, the right tackle that left his stance early.
Jack, what's been a heck of a deal for us is we've had these chain markers, these electronic chain markers all year long. And sometimes I wonder, why do we have them? Hey, we have them for days like this. Because now we can see that it's 2nd and 14. You see that, Jack? Makes a big difference.
Something like that, yeah.
Cuts through that snow, doesn't it?
The ball is at the 35. I'm pretty sure. 2nd and 14.
Just try to cut it in half here.
First time out, Boston College, 30 seconds.
When you get behind the chains like this and conditions like this, you ain't going to make 14 on this play. So try to cut it in half. Try to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands to try to make it third manageable. And that's really what you're trying to do here for Boston College. Just string some positive plays together as best you can. Obviously, it's tough sledding to come back and win this ball game, but you want to build on something. You want to see how your team responds. You want to see how your young quarterback responds. Give him a chance to do that. Try to get a positive play here. Get yourself in third manageable and see what happens. And don't let that guy get going.
Got going right at the end of that first half for the sack to give him the record at the University of Notre Dame. 2nd and 14, Morehead trying to find a receiver, and he's able to. That's George Takis, who's sliding down, and now Morehead is back up to his feet in pain. That was Riley Mills who got a hit on it.
Reflective of what we've been talking about. This ball comes out really quickly, and Morehead gets drilled again. You love his poise, you love his composure. What I love most is his toughness.
BC 4 for 9 on third down. Here's Morehead. Fires this ball, and this pass is caught down the sideline, able to bring it in. It's Johnson. Incredible catch in these conditions.
How about going after Benjamin Morrison? He's single coverage out there on the left-hand side. They just run a go route. There's no safety help. It's good coverage. It's tight. Morehead delivers a strike on the back shoulder. Johnson, great body control in these conditions to go up and pluck the ball and secure it. Big time throw and catch, their best play of the day.
And Isaiah Foskey was shaken up, walking behind the BC offense, and took himself over to the sideline, now on the bench, getting some attention. Morehead back to the air. He's going to instead scramble with it, and that's Marist Liufau, who will just push him over into the BC sideline. See if we can figure out what happened to Isaiah Foskey.
Foskey was trying to go speed to power and push Trapillo back into the quarterback. Trapillo was up to the task. Looks like he might have stepped on a foot and turned his ankle a little bit there.
Notre Dame bringing pressure, and BC will run straight through it. That's Pat Garlow, who's going to set up a 3rd and short for BC.
BC's got to take advantage of this opportunity here. You got 3rd and short, certainly 4-down territory. You'd like to see them run the ball a couple times and see if they can create some movement up front to convert this thing and keep this drive alive.
You see big Chris Smith checking into the center of that Notre Dame defense. Pressure comes and pressure gets home. Big hit put on Xavier Watts from his safety spot cleanly into the backfield, and he dropped Morehead for the sack.
Hey, Xavier Watts got an opportunity to play last week, took advantage of it. He's taking advantage of it again right here. He's aligned over the bunch. He's a free rusher off the outside. BC doesn't have an answer. If you don't have enough guys to block him, the ball's got to come out. Morehead didn't see him. Watts cashes in. Made 8 tackles last week against Navy. A big sack here today. He played a little offense in training camp as well. A versatile guy who's starting to show up as this season has gone on.
Loss of 10 sets up a 4th and long. We got that play clock winding down.
Delay a game.
And it hit.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
4th and longer.
And really, it's the reason I said maybe run it. You know, it's 3rd and a long 1 or 2 yards. You know it's going to be 4-down territory. Maybe hammer it a couple times and see if you can create some movement. Decide to throw it. They get sacked. Then they get the delay. Situation changes dramatically.
So 4th and 16 now. Morehead just trying to get a pass away and can't. It's Adam and Lola. Justin got home for a sack. One more for this Notre Dame defense. "29 dropbacks for Morehead, 4 times sacked, 4 hits, 6 hurries. Freeman said he wanted to heat him up. He's done just that. And how about the FIFA World Cup begins tomorrow in Qatar, and on Monday the young stars of Team USA, they make their debut against Gareth Bale in Wales. Catch it in Spanish on Telemundo and streaming on Peacock. And Blake Grupe, remember, All-State in Missouri in football and football. Soccer player he was. And a big pickup for the Irish. Here goes Mayer around the outside, and a good gain on 1st down. And we saw Morehead take himself into the tent during the break. Looked like he was shaken up. Phil Jerkovic, who was the starter, a 3-year starter, is not active today, so the backup would be Matthew Reevy, redshirt sophomore out of Cincinnati, Ohio. One more time, here is Michael Mayer, and he's still moving forward.
Tommy Reese has done such a good job getting the ball to Mayer so many different ways this year. Shows his versatility running that fly sweep. You like it, why not do it again?
and he goes over 2,000 career receiving yards. 13th Irish player to do that. They just put it up on the Jumbotron, so that's exactly what Tommy Rees was trying to do, and you heard the crowd give him a cheer on his way back over to the sideline. 2nd and 4. Here's Logan Diggs, and Diggs is well into the backfield, and that BC defense, and Amari Jackson makes the stop.
Back when we talked to Jeff Hafley the other day, he told the team 2 or 3 weeks ago that he's grading one thing. I'm grading effort. I'm grading how hard we play. I'm grading coaches and players on that. So we see this here from BC. Certainly not their day. They've been overmatched in so many different ways. But this group still battling, still scratching, still clawing, and still fighting. Credit to the staff and to these young men.
And that will be the conclusion of the 3rd quarter. This is a South Bend Saturday. Snow falling in every direction all over campus, and Notre Dame loves it. And aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. You got the snow blowers out during the 3rd quarter break, and they were blowing off the end zones, just trying to let people know where it actually is to score a touchdown. I think that's a good idea right there.
I think it's a heck of an idea.
Here's Pine on the roll, and he has a man. It's complete to Matt Salerno again, has the touchdown at a nice punt return, and then he muffed the punt. Now Salerno gets his day going again.
Despite the muff punt, this guy is a sneaky good player. Made a huge catch against Ohio State in the opener, and it just seems like every time he gets an opportunity, he cashes in with it. Good job getting him out in space there. He's got a little wiggle out in space on his run after catch. Notre Dame still going. Tommy Rees keeping the pedal down.
Tommy Rees always talked about Salerno as a run blocker, how gritty he was in the run blocking game, earning opportunities like that to grab a football on senior day. And here goes the run game again, but the BC defense rises to the occasion, and that's Cam Arnold who made the tackle.
Cam's one of their best defensive players, just a really active guy. And, you know, for these guys on the BC front, it's tough sled now. It's a little bit of a mismatch up front. The conditions are what they are. You're down 44. You're in the 4th quarter, but they continue to dig in and fight. Credit to these guys. A good stop there.
Tough sledding was a pretty perfect description there by you. 2nd and 11. And this is Deion Colzie, who lost the football and just dives on top of it, but lost a whole bunch of yardage in the process.
This has been a play that's been effective for them, and they've done a good job handling it throughout. Ball a tick high. Colzie can't corral it. He makes a good decision at the end of this down just to get on it. In fact, it's an incomplete pass. Is exactly right. Just like that shovel pass, anytime you do that, when the ball leaves the quarterback's hands like it does, it's not a handoff. So that certainly works to Notre Dame's benefit.
So it sets up a 3rd and 11. Here's Pine, handoff. It's Logan Diggs who makes one man miss. Now he's carrying another defender and picking up that 1st down. That's Bryce Steele.
You know, Diggs is a guy who's known as kind of the versatile guy. He's a good receiver. He's good out in space, but don't be fooled. He's a big physical runner as well. He demonstrates it here. He gets hit. His power, strength in his lower body allows him to maintain that balance and finish forward.
Here's Pine. It's Estimé trying to gain the corner. He's able to. Now he's going to lower that shoulder and pick up even more yards at the tail end of it.
Yeah, and conversely, Estimé is viewed as the guy who's the power downhill guy, and he shows us he can bounce it. He does this a lot down in the red zone, gets clogged up inside, shows his lateral quickness and his speed to capture the edge. And at the end of the down, he's always falling forward.
Heavy formation on a 2nd and 1. And Pine is going to throw from that formation. Rolling out, and he's trying to find a wide receiver. That's his tight end, make it his fullback. That's Davis Sherwood, who's falling backward trying to make the catch and just beyond his reach.
Obviously, they're such a strong running team. You get in this 2nd and 1 type situation, play action can always be good because you know it's going to be 4-down territory. Pine wanted to give Sherwood a chance, just a little bit too much. I expect run here.
I expect you to be right. 3rd and 1. There is that run. It's Estimé, but the BC defense said no. They stuffed him. They'll set up a 4th and 1.
They expect it too.
Yep.
Whenever you get in these situations where you know it's going to be 4-down territory, it seems to me that it always makes sense to run it. You want to run it. Get yourself closer, make the 4th down that much more manageable. And that's certainly what Notre Dame did, but we expected it, BC expected it, they played it, and they played it well.
So offense remains on the field. 11:30 in the game. 4th down and 1. Irish up 44-zip. And they'll take a timeout. And it appears that Michael Mayer's day may be finished, but how about this guy? Inside this stadium, Notre Dame Stadium, very well may be his last game on this field. Touchdowns, receptions, yards. Greatest tight end to ever play at Notre Dame?
Well, he certainly is up there. The numbers say that he is, and there have been a lot of great ones here for a long time. But you know, one thing that John McNulty said, McNulty, the offensive coordinator at BC, had been the tight end coach at Notre Dame the last couple years. He said when they first got Michael Mayer, he was all football all the time. Sometimes when you start a meeting, hey, you try to be loose, you tell a story, you tell a joke. He said Mayer would be sitting there in the back of the room with his arms crossed like, what are these clowns wasting my time? We're going to get to the football. And he said they were always trying to loosen him up a little bit. But, you know, as he's telling me the story, I'm thinking to myself, it seems like all the great players that I've been around have had a real similar attitude. You know, they don't suffer fools wisely. They don't want to hear the joke. They don't want to hear the story. Give me some ball stuff that can help me now. And that's the attitude that he's had since he's a freshman, and it's certainly paid off. And John McNulty had a big impact on him, as has Coach Parker now. He's been well coached here at Notre Dame, and he's been as productive as any who's ever played at this fine institution.
Amen. They always said CEO energy, all business. And all those records he holds, remember, he's done it in just 3 years' time. For my money, greatest tight end this university has ever seen. 4th and 1. And try to work the middle, and that is stuffed by Boston College. It's Chris Tyree on the carry. Akpala was there, as well as DePaul. Time now for Players on the Rise, brought to you by Hyundai. How about a true freshman?
He is on the rise. This is Benjamin Morrison. 3 interceptions today. Watch the acceleration and the burst when the ball's in the air. Watch how he tracks this. Eyes comfortably come back, and he high points the ball. And then just always aware the ball gets tipped. Tips and overthrows equal interceptions when you got players like Morrison in the back. And he's a quiet guy. He's a mature guy, but he's a confident guy. He's counting out his picks on the day. He's got 5 on the year, and they've been difference-making plays for the Irish.
And keep in mind that green turf, those first couple highlights, that was from the same game.
Same game.
Yeah.
Happened a couple hours ago.
It was pre-snowball. So they're going to keep Emmett Morehead in the game, and he hands this football off. It's Alex Broom with a good game.
I just want to go back to that point about how this BC team continues to fight and battle. And that stop, Notre Dame had 3rd and 1 inside the 10-yard line. They make a stop on 3rd down. They make a stop on 4th down. And as Hafley said, hey, we're coaching effort. We're grading effort, coaches and players. And that's how we're going to play. Demonstrated there one more time.
Pitch this one to try to gain the edge and pick up that 1st down. It's Broom on the carry before Prince Collie makes the tackle. And just to finish up on your point on Benjamin Morrison, remember all the narrative about this Notre Dame defense couldn't take the football away. So it's the first 9 weeks of 2022, only 3 picks. And that is the back of the FBS. The last 3 weeks, 6, tied for first in the FBS, 5 by the true freshman Benjamin Morrison, including 3 of those today.
There's nothing more dangerous than a corner who can cover and catch. And Ben Morrison is that.
Handoff, it's Alex Broom, another true freshman for Boston College, and he'll pick up just a couple.
I'm not making this comparison, so I'm saying that before I say this. But the best I ever saw at it was Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders could guard you. And then if you threw it over there and you were late behind, whatever, he would simply intercept it. And in Deion's cases, most of the time he'd run it back for a touchdown.
Yep.
But corners who can cover and then corners who can track the ball and catch, they're so dangerous because bad things happen when you go in their direction. And again, Ben Morrison, 18-year-old freshman with a lot of football ahead of him. He has a bright future.
One more pitch, try to get to the outside, and they cannot. That tackle was made by junior Tuialamaka. True freshman junior Tuialamaka getting some action. They feel like he could be a star at the linebacker spot for Notre Dame moving forward.
Watch him running sideline to sideline. He's a run and hit guy here for Notre Dame. BC trying to get to the edge. He runs through blockers and makes plays on the run. Great opportunity for some of these backup players to get in and show what they got. Big time play there.
That's George Takis, who got rolled up on at the end of that run and then headed over towards the sideline. 3rd and 5. Pressure coming again. This is Morehead flushed, and Morehead picks up that first down before stepping out of bounds. It was Gabriel Rubio who forced the pressure and got him on the move.
Back to that earlier point, there's a lot of highly recruited players here at Notre Dame, big-time players, 3- and 4-star guys who, recruited by everybody in the country, and some of them were backup players early on in their career. And in a game like this, when it's a blowout, this becomes their opportunity. You're going to go back at the end of the year and look at their tape. How did they do? They're not going to look at the scoreboard of BC. They're going to look at the plays. So these are their opportunities to show the coaches they can play at this level.
Handoff. This time it's Barfield. And not much there. Maybe picked up 3 before Chris Smith made the stop. And you think about the turnaround of this season. After the slow start, the upset, they're 0-2. And you have the Stanford game. The way that this team has battled back and reignited the hype of this Marcus Freeman era. After it looked tough, it looked rough. People are saying certain things after the slow start. He has righted this ship, and this looks exactly like the football team he was trying to build ever since he took over.
No question about it. And a credit to him, a credit to his staff, and a credit to the guys they have recruited, the guys in this program to respond to that early season adversity.
Handoff, and nothing there. This time it's Jordan Botello who made the tackle for Notre Dame.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Marcus Freeman got a visit by his old coach from Ohio State, Jim Tressel. And Tressel said, hey, to go from point A to point B, where do you want to go? It's not a straight diagonal line. It's going to get a little rocky. There are going to be some divots. And Notre Dame has fought through some of those divots, and really they're coming out the other end.
On a 3rd and 8. Morehead, more pressure. They're just trying to get rid of that football. They're going to rule it a fumble. He's trying to get that hand moving forward, but he's getting hit in the process. It was Rubio who stuck him.
4th down.
He had Ehrensberger arriving as well, and it was Al Golden that said Gabriel Rubio, one of the biggest risers on this defense throughout the season.
Again, another one of those backup players who gets an opportunity, and they come up big. Ehrensberger, the German, making plays. Rubio inside. The atmosphere and the environment for the quarterback has been a challenge all day long. A tough day for Morehead.
Longman on to punt. This is a wobbly punt into the snow. It's going to settle inside that 30-yard line. Well, the fans have been loving it. Snow coming down. They are used to this kind of action. They're having themselves a day. And so too are the Irish.
Thank you, seniors, for everything you've done for us. I appreciate you guys taking me in as a young pup and showing me what hard work and dedication is. I want to give a special shout out to my two big bros, Josh Lugg and J. Pat. I appreciate you guys showing me what the true Notre Dame offensive line standard is every day. I love you guys a lot and appreciate you again.
It's the right tackle who I think is going to be great heading into the future. Talking about the interior studs for Notre Dame and Lugg. 6th season, played every position on that Notre Dame offensive line. Great career that he's had. And try to hand off directly behind that O-line right here, and that is stopped up quickly. Estimé with the carry, and of course with Patterson. He's switching to guard this season. This is a guy who's originally committed to Arizona State. Notre Dame didn't enter the picture until a month before signing day. Didn't even have a position coach yet for the offensive line. He said, I just experienced how the offensive line and the people cared about each other inside that room, and it was enough. So maybe he was indirectly recruited by Harry Hiestand, who really built that culture.
And I love what Blake said. Those two guys showed me the standard of what Notre Dame offensive line is all about. And that's the standard that Patterson saw when he came on his recruiting visit. It's been that way for a long time. One of the best players I've ever been around is Zach Martin. He was part of that. Quentin Nelson, all these guys going back a long, long way. They established this standard. And Patterson learned it when he got here, and now he's teaching it to guys like Fisher. Josh Lugg, been here 6 years. He's been a part of that thing. Show them the standard. It's really, really important to have those kind of examples. And I love what you said about Patterson, too. You know, All-American center. And Zeke Correll kind of comes on in the spring when Patterson's hurt. And they move him to guard. He embraces it, and that's going to help him as an NFL player going forward. The fact that he's played both positions. Oftentimes in the draft, if there's an interior offensive lineman, if he's a guard in college, they say, has he ever snapped? Well, he can tell them, yeah, I snapped. I played center, and now I play guard. I got it on tape. So going to serve him well going forward. Outstanding career here at Notre Dame. Love how he's showing all these younger guys what it means to be a Notre Dame offensive lineman.
And for these three running backs behind that offensive line, 34 carries, over 240 yards, and 4 touchdowns in this game. So there they are, enjoying themselves on a snowy South Bend Saturday. Notre Dame band enjoying themselves for a senior day for some of these band members as well. Handoff here. It's Cam Barfield, and he'll pick up just a few.
Jack, the Battle of Bands is something else when Grambling plays Southern.
Oh, yeah.
You said it can't be missed. And how about just HBCU down there? Deion Sanders, you mentioned him before. The job that he's done at Jackson State, drawing a little attention to that great brand of football. It's fun to see.
Another handoff here. It's Barfield again. He'll pick up that first down. And the Irish will head to Southern California next week. And USC, big game coming up with UCLA. That's 8 Eastern time tonight. That's a tough test heading on the road for Notre Dame.
It sure is, but really impressed by Notre Dame today. You know, you talk about the lessons learned over the course of the season at different times when they had some success. It seemed like they didn't handle it that well. They didn't play with that same edge. Happened last week in the second half against Navy, and this game set up that way a little bit. The 3-7 BC Eagles coming in here, they're banged up. Easy to kind of look past them on a cold day and start thinking about that USC game to finish the season. But they were locked in. They played for 60 minutes. Now you put this one to bed and you go get ready for that next challenge out there, because it will be a big one.
Another give for Barfield, and Coach Freeman has used that analogy all year that it can be a bumpy road sometimes on that road to where you want to go. And he referenced that Navy game. There's games earlier this season, Marshall, Stanford, where they play like that and they wind up losing late. They figure out a way to get the job done. Point of emphasis all this week to explode in the second half. Doesn't matter the first, explode in the second half, and they have finished this game exactly how their head coach described.
Jack, life and ball is a lot about lessons learned. And a lot of lessons learned for this Notre Dame team over the course of the season, for their coaching staff and for their players. And they're certainly better because of it. And sometimes you grow because of those adversities, and I think today is the best example of it. Being able to keep the hammer down against this BC team for 60 minutes is a big step for this program. And then you get ready for the Trojans.
So 4th and 1, and BC is going to keep the offense out there. And they'll pick up that first down. The give goes to Barfield. And it was so fun, too, catching up with Brian Mason in the hallway yesterday. We got him kind of walking right out of our meeting. We walked in, we're like, man, we got to just stop you for a second and catch up. I really enjoyed listening to his philosophy about rushing the punter. And even if you don't get there, which they have gotten there, I mean, he has been sensational as a special teams coordinator. So even if you don't get there, sometimes you force a high punt, you wind up getting better returns as a result of that pressure that you created. Been around a long time, he knows exactly what he's doing.
No doubt, and at so many different points in this season, those block punts were the difference in a game. Allowed Notre Dame to win the game. They got 2 of them one week. They get 5 in consecutive weeks. It's unbelievable, like nothing I've ever seen. And then guys on your team want to be a part of it. Starting players want to be on that punt rush team. And the dynamic is so positive for your team. Credit Danny Longman, the BC punter, for getting the ball out there quickly today and not allowing this Notre Dame punt rush team to go get another one.
That was Jaylen Sneed bringing the boom. Another true freshman. Penalty marker came out.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 47. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
So Sneed got the shot, but first, snag of that face mask.
Senior Greg Maley checks in for the Irish.
So fun to see how so many of these young guys respond with their first playing opportunity. They're excited to be out there and just be a part of this thing. They won't soon forget.
And off here, and once again, that's Jaylen Sneed, who is just trying to prove to everybody in that Notre Dame building, Freeman, Al Golden and company, that he's the future, and they believe it.
Hey, he was Mr. Football in South Carolina. He's got a lot of talent. Marcus Freeman's coaching effort, too, for 60 minutes. Gotta love what he sees. What a great day for the Irish.
A snowy senior day. You can't beat it. That's a good way to tattoo it right there in your memory, isn't it? 44-0.
A snowy senior day and a memorable senior day for everybody here at Notre Dame, and a rough day for the BC Eagles, but they've handled a lot of adversity themselves over the course of this season. They continue to battle and fight, and they're going to be good days ahead for those guys, but there's no doubt today was all about the Fighting Irish. They were dominant in all 3 phases.
And Zora is standing by with Marcus Freeman.
Coach, at the beginning of this game, you talked about honoring these seniors. You do it with the shutout. What kind of focus did you see the entire way through?
Man, it was awesome to see the way they came out the second half. They came out the first half and did a really good job, but the challenge was to come out the second half and play with the same intensity, and it was good to see them do it.
Still some games left, but there's been so many twists and turns this season. What have you found that this group is made of?
They're resilient, and then that's what this university attracts, resilient people that no matter what the outcome of a situation occurs, they'll continue to battle, and that's why I love being a head coach here, and I love this place. I love these kids.
Flurries coming down right now. There was a storm in the middle of the game, accumulation on the field. How much fun is this? Football weather.
Yeah, it's Listen, it's a little bit chilly, but it's a lot of fun. They were big kids. They're out there being big kids, and we got a chance to get everybody in the game today and all the seniors, and that means a lot. And for them to play their last game and get a chance to get on this field, it means a lot.
Snow angels for you?
No, you won't see me doing snow angels. I'll leave that for these guys and then my kids.
Thanks, Coach.
Good to see you.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. No cold, tough guys. That's how he started the game. He was hilarious talking about the cold weather yesterday, and they could not have performed any better in these conditions. Special moment for all those seniors, and think about Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman. The first 3 games, you go back to the bowl game, they're just these crushing losses. Irish have a lead in the second half in each of those games, figure out a way to lose them. The last 9 games, 8-1 record. Drew Pine taking over as the starter. He's a winner. He's a winner, no question about it. It's another big recruiting weekend as well for the Irish, that highly touted class they have coming in. They think the future's bright here. They're starting to show it.
You mentioned Drew Pine, and he's best, like all quarterbacks, when he has the supporting cast around him. And when Notre Dame gets running the football and he's a complimentary player, they have been awfully good. Thrown a lot of touchdowns, hasn't made a lot of bad plays, and most importantly, won a lot of games. His teammates love playing for him, and they even make him the photographer, taking a little selfie there. He thinks he's the king of the selfie. He has no idea.
That's the truth. You could teach him a thing or two. These seniors are all smiles, trying to get themselves a picture to remember this day. Catherine Tappan, Corey Robinson, Pete Mitchell coming up right after the break. Senior Day success for the University of Notre Dame.
Senior Day and a Snow Bowl celebration, a 44-0 victory for the Fighting Irish over the Boston College Eagles. Everyone getting in on the action here. Still at Notre Dame Stadium, soaking in the snowflakes, and all the celebration on a wonderful evening for the seniors in attendance in the student section and on the field of the football team. Catherine Tappan joined by Boston College tight end standout Pete Mitchell and Corey Robinson, former wide receiver for the Fighting Irish. And guys, we saw a lot here from the Fighting Irish and what they were able to do in this interesting season they've had. Now 8-3, Corey, and giving a dominating victory over Boston College here on a day that meant so much to so many of these seniors.
Yeah, and we got a little bit of every type of weather, didn't we? I mean, it was like nice when we first came out here, it was sunny, and then it was snowing, and but I think the ultimate thing here I saw was a great first half, and we did not see a repeat of Navy. That's progress for this Notre Dame team.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot to talk about with Boston College today, unfortunately. But listen, they kept the score, 44. I think it was it gave up maybe 10 points in the second half. But it's been a tough year for us all overall in the football program. But we just got to, take next game. We got 1 game left, and just go out and play it as hard as we can.
All right. Well, this one started off strong right off the bat for the Fighting Irish because it was a great running game all day long, and it started with the first play of the game. It was Logan Diggs, 51-yard run, and that's exactly the tone they set early in this one, Corey.
Yeah, one thing in the running game you want to see, and we saw this all day long, is body on body. And the offensive line matched everyone up. Tight ends were knocking people out, and then once the running backs got to the second level, it was game over.
And then it was the defense. Ben Morrison with an unbelievable game. He had a couple of interceptions against Clemson. He follows it up here with an interception on Emmett Morehead.
Yeah, great play by the defensive back by Morrison. Emmett probably just kind of panicked a little bit there, made a bad throw, but he capitalized.
Morrison, the freshman, setting up his team nicely here for the 1-yard touchdown. That's all it took to 10-0 for Logan Diggs to get it in.
I love this view because Drew Pine, with the quarterback's getting in on the push, the pile, that tells you a lot about the kind of
that's
heart.
teamwork.
That's teamwork right there.
Next Notre Dame possession, it was Drew Pine finding the senior Matt Salerno. That's his first touchdown, believe it or not.
They did a lot of nice, a lot of nice misdirection plays today against the Eagles, and that one worked really well.
Boston College down 17, and it's Morehead looking deep, and this was his nemesis today. Benjamin, again, Morrison, interception.
And this is one of those plays where, as a defensive back, he was turning back, saw the ball, and actually attacked it. And as a receiver, you're supposed to play defensive back in that instance. That did not happen.
Second quarter, Notre Dame's defense getting to Morehead, recovering the fumble here.
Yeah, just a little bit of a lack of security by the quarterback, but great play by the Irish. Opportune time coming up with the turnover.
Yeah, an unfortunate day for Morehead. Just hard to watch what he was going through out there.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think we've all been through it. You've seen it happen, and he's just going to have to learn from this and bounce back. He's got great potential.
Logan Diggs, again, taking it here. 26-yard run, and boy, was he strong in this one, Corey.
I mean, it was just running backs. They did it by committee.
Yep.
And that's the best way to do it.
Because it was 2 plays later, and this is another running back, Audric Estimé, taking it in for the 7-yard touchdown. He's been an absolute monster for the Fighting Irish this season. That made it 30-0.
Yeah, what I saw today was the Irish have some big, strong running backs, and they've got speed too.
It was a 3-headed monster today because Tyree also getting in on the action. The 12-yard touchdown, 37-0 at this point.
It's like a hydra, right? You cut one head off, you're like, I think we stopped that guy.
They all remind me of Jerome Bettis, the big guys.
Well, the defense was strong. We saw Ben Morrison's plays, but how about this? Isaiah Foskey getting to Morehead for the sack. That sack right there breaks Justin Tuck's school record at Notre Dame, his 25th career sack, and he did it against Boston College today.
On senior day.
And
that kind of like rarefied air on senior day, that's such a special moment.
Second half, and it's the Ben Morrison show continuing. In a snow flurry of a storm, it was his 3rd interception of the day.
Yeah, just another little high pass here by the quarterback, but a little tip by the running back, but he was always seemed to be in the right place. Some of those best players are always in the right spot at the right time.
You can't even see the ball with all that snow falling. How did he find it? It's like he's got Velcro on his gloves. Yeah. The snow was just coming down heavier and heavier. It was a winter wonderland in South Bend. How about Lucky having a little fun? Gotta love Lucky, right? We got him in the highlights. So the snow show continued, and it was Estimé once again powering ahead. Notre Dame goes on to win it 44-0.
This is one of those scenarios where we knew Notre Dame had a strong running game. You can't throw the ball. I can barely feel my hands. We're standing there holding microphones. Could you imagine trying to grip it and throw it and then catch it? So the one thing worked really well, and I love Drew Pine with the selfie. Jason Garrett's right. Jason Garrett is the king of selfies. Drew Pine might be the prince.
Yes, we haven't seen the evidence yet. We've got to see what that picture looked like, right? But the marching band down here on the field as well, and the celebration, always fun on senior day. They allow a lot of fans onto the field. They're going to let them on here in a moment as soon as we get off. But when you look at the overall picture of what this win means for Marcus Freeman and how he has grown this team, you heard him talk to Zora about his identity. How would you describe the identity of this team right now, Corey?
I think he hit it. I mean, resilient is a pretty good one. I think we're looking at next year's team, right? Because it started off really slow. Now we're starting to see every phase really fire on all cylinders. If they can continue to push through a good USC team, a bowl game, that would then frame the second year of the Marcus Freeman era with that recruiting class in some really good light.
Yeah, it was obvious today. They won the game up front, offensively and defensively. They kind of pushed BC's defensive line around, and conversely, Notre Dame's offensive line just kind of pushed our D line around. So they won it up front, and the running game was amazing.
And I will say too, like coming off of Navy, we did think, okay, well, is this going to be a repeating thing? To see them make that small adjustment and get better in the very next week, I think speaks volumes about the character of this team, because you could have seen a sleeper, a 3-win Boston College team at home, senior night. Yep. Maybe we don't put our best foot forward. I mean, 37 points in the first half. Come on.
We had some hope, but it got dashed quickly.
And Marcus Freeman talked to us on Friday just all about how he's figuring out this season as well. And a lot of that has to do with the Navy game last week. He said, I need to learn how to prepare better for the triple option. Navy presents a much different offense than what they're used to seeing on a week-in and week-out basis. He said, I'm going to start looking at this back in the summertime so I can get ready for that game. He had his team prepared today right out of the gate, and they didn't let their foot off the gas pedal, and they continue this celebration. They come back on the field, had a little time in the locker room, and now it's time for photos, guys, and a little bit of dancing as well.
Photo time. What a great atmosphere for the last game, though. You know, snow coming, like you said, all kinds of weather today.
Well, you look at Michael Mayer, certainly arguably the best tight end in the country. And Corey, you have to wonder, watching him with his teammates, is this the last time we're going to see Michael Mayer here at Notre Dame Stadium and in a college football uniform?
Who knows? But all I can say is, on behalf of every Notre Dame, every Notre Dame fan that I know, thank you, Michael. This is it. I had a blast watching you rewrite the record book, and he's one of those special talents. I remember the first time I saw him, the first time I saw Kyle Hamilton. It's one of those you just know immediately. First snap, you're like, that's a first-round draft pick, top 10, top 15 kind of player. And to watch him for 3 years, and the thing I love about Michael Mayer is he's a football player. Like, this kind of game, he loves. He's just like, I'll play. He told me I'll play on asphalt. I don't care.
Pete, you played the position, a consensus All-American at Boston College at the tight end position. What do you see when you watch Michael Mayer that makes him special?
I think what I love about him, he's a complete tight end. He's in the running game, but he's a great route runner. I saw some routes today that he had some catches. It was some almost looked like a wide receiver running the route. So I think he's going to be a great fit for this new tight end that you see in the NFL these days, where it's primarily a pass catching tight end and then occasionally gets in the blocking game. But a complete tight end, and I always love when tight ends get love. So
there was a moment too where he wanted, last year he said, I'm going to focus on my blocking, because we knew he was a great run blocker, a route runner, and a great pass catcher. But he said, run blocking is where I want to put my focus, and we see now he's a complete tight end.
Yeah, there's not many of them.
Oh, he's a special player, no question about that. Another special player, Isaiah Foskey, a big game today, and he is standing by just across the field with Zora.
Isaiah, with your sack today, you now lead Notre Dame in career sacks. I asked head coach Marcus Freeman about it, and he said it's just a testament to you. What does that mean to you?
It means everything. Like, I can't give credit to everybody, but it just means a lot. And God put me in a great perspective, a great mind to get that sack. It just means a lot. I couldn't I just can't pay the words. I'm just not gonna call Justin Tuck today after the game and let him know. He probably knows already, but I'll let him know though.
And Justin Tuck said it was completely fine that you broke his record. How fitting is it on Senior Day in the snow that you all get a shutout? And I know your parents are watching this interview too.
It just means everything. We clicked on all four cylinders on special teams, offense, defense. We clicked on everything. So it's just great just to get everyone in on senior night and just pretty much complete that shutout at 44-0. It just means a lot.
Congrats, Isaiah.
Thank you.
Jack, Coach, Isaiah looks a lot warmer than me down here.
He sure does, Zora, and so much respect between those two now as Foskey owns that record, the sack record at the University of Notre Dame. It's been amazing to be a part of this entire journey with that team, being around guys like Foskey, watching Coach Freeman learn on the job, man, as he learned fast how to be a head coach and be able to do it with you has been really special, man.
Thank you, Jack. We had that great visit with the Adamalola brothers yesterday, and the word that came out, they must have said it 10 or 15 times, was grateful. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be here at Notre Dame and do it together, and that's the way I feel. I love football, and Notre Dame is ground zero of football, the history and tradition here, and the standard that they're upholding now, and then the opportunity to work with you and everybody here at NBC. It's been a fantastic experience. I can't thank you enough, buddy.
Hey, nothing in life is better than being a part of a team. Producer Steve Greenberg has been tremendous. Our director, Chuck D, Charlie Danmeyer, sideline producer, Caitlin Urka, the halftime producer, John Barnes, researcher, the big Showski, Chris Lees, stats, Anthony Tresh has been awesome. And how about the spotter, the legend, Malibu Kelly Hayes. And tomorrow night on NBC and Peacock, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs head to Los Angeles, take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Coverage begins 7 Eastern with Football Night in America. For Jason Garrett, Sora Stevenson, Catherine Tappan, and our entire crew, I'm Jack Collinsworth saying thanks for watching Notre Dame football all season long.